was seeing something. I think Mel Gibson put something out, and if you've followed his career, he's had like crazy ups and downs in his career with his, beating his girlfriend and his alcohol abuse and
DUI and racist
and
comments and stuff.
But he said something that resonated with me, and he said, the thing that scares people the most in the whole world is essentially public humiliation, which essentially has been my whole life growing up in that town.
Yeah.
So like, I don't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah.
And I struggle with things because I don't understand what is normal and what is not normal, even being a 41-year-old man today. So I have to ask my wife, like, hey, honey, is this appropriate? Or then I kind of have a checks and balances with her because, I don't know, just because of my childhood.
The example set was not a normal example of what normality is.
Yeah. It's like, I'll give you one example was my sister had 9 puppies, like beagle puppies. And for whatever reason, it was too many puppies or whatever. So instead of giving them away, my father solicited my help in hanging them in our basement. So we just killed 9 different puppies, hung them and put them in black trash bags and then disposed of them and said, don't tell your sister. That was the kind of shit that I dealt with where, you have to turn your emotions off,
Are there times in your adult life where that comes up, where you see that as a trigger or it's affected you, your behavior, the way you say or do things with your own family? I mean, that would have just, I'm an animal person. I don't know how I would have recovered from that as a kid.
Yeah.
How's it affected you?
Well, it's hard because, again, I have a stomach or a tolerance for things that people don't. I don't mind conflict.
Yes, I know that about you.
Yeah, I don't mind conflict at all, whether it's physical, emotional, intellectual.
I think you take comfort. That's a comfort zone for you.
Probably in my shittier moments of when I am not regulated, I tend to be the person that can push the envelope or push the buttons or fuck with people in a way because I wanted them to experience something.
I think it also, and I'm only speaking because I get it. I'm very, very similar to you, and that's why we get along so well. Is there some kind of semblance of control that you have when you're in conflict? Because you can take it, and many people get very uncomfortable with confrontation and conflict.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've had to relook at my life. I mean, I almost lost my marriage to, my wife that I've known since we were 10 years old.
And I want to get into that.
Yeah.
So should we back up to the beginning a little bit?
Well,
I want to talk about Jasmine, and I want to talk about, everything chronologically, because I love that story about you and your wife.
Yeah.
I think, and you've agreed, that this woman saved your sanity.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I was being force-fed my own shit at 10 years old, and I met her around that same time, and I was finally able to control my bowels because it used to be I was in such fear of my father. I'd do everything to not be in a weak place, so I would hold onto my shit, and then I just couldn't anymore, and it was horrible. And so it was like it took me to 10 to kind of get that underway, 10 or 11. And now I protect people across the planet and travel and do all those things. So if I can, be a success story, I think anybody could. I mean, I could have been a school shooter. I could have been in prison. I could have been in many different fucking avenues that I could have, taken depending on how shit worked out for me. But I do credit my wife for saving my life.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't, that's a great story. I think that's one of the best parts of what your movie will be, is that ultimately it's kind of a love story. I mean, dude, how many people would have been able to understand you or, I don't want to say put up with you, but deal with what you had to deal with? That's going to be hard on anybody's person with what you've had to deal with.
Yeah. And she didn't even know. She didn't know for a lot of years because it's like I kept these family secrets, and, she knew something was off, but, I don't have secrets like that anymore. Like I don't give a fuck. I will do anything and everything to be open and honest about what I dealt with, because I don't want anybody to deal with the shit that I've dealt with. Like, my mom should have divorced him. My mom should have left him. He should be in prison. He should have, rot in prison. I could have contact with him, the last 5 years of his life, because if I would have saw him, I probably would have killed him. I probably would have done it myself.
What age do you think you were when the fear subsided and the anger took over to where you didn't fear him anymore? You were able to let the kind of anger and stuff you'd been stuffing for so long come out.
Well, there was some instances in high school where there was a bunch of accusations about, sexual assaults and whatnot. Basically, all the female, kids that were living with us got pulled away by the Baha'I faith, the cult. But yet they didn't press any charges on him. They didn't, utilize, law enforcement or anything. And so I knew in my heart what was going on then, because it's like you couldn't deny it. But I also needed him. I was still, in school and living under the roof. It's like I almost allowed him to manipulate me in the sense of thinking that all this shit was a lie when I knew it wasn't a lie in here. And then more things came out as I got out of there and I left, and as I became a father, and other adopted sisters getting in touch with me after the fact and telling me the story, firsthand about my father raping, her when she was like 12 or 13 years old, or the other girl that lived at her house that killed herself and also had those accusations. So it's like, I can't think that that's not, that wasn't a cause and effect deal with my father. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. That is horrible.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jasmine, so 10 years old, you guys become friends.
Yeah. She moved. She was a transplant because they don't grow attractive women in Alaska that way. So she had to move from California up there. And then she's, this little brown girl, the most amazing, kind-hearted, most beautiful person I'd ever, met in my entire life. Yeah. And she didn't come to Alaska knowing anything about our town or anything. So she treated me very respectfully. It was like, I was not the weirdo. I was just like this kid who was kind of charming and fun and her friend, and,
a little wild, a little bad boyish.
Yeah. Yeah. It just is different. Like, she didn't have all these rumors and things that, or experiences with my family. She came in with like a new slate. I was, in school with kids where, I'm in second grade and I bring a rabbit's head to school for lunch, which is like a boiled rabbit's head because my father got off on grossing people out. And we ate rabbit, we ate bear, and we ate all kinds of animals. And we had rabbit the night before. So I bring, everybody's got their fucking snack pack and their banana and their juice box. And I have a tinfoil thing of, rabbit head that I break open and I suck the brain out and I'm eating the tongue. And basically all the kids were like, move tables. And my teacher in the second grade made me sit at the other table because it was fucking horrendous for people.
Yeah.
But I had no idea that was different to